My name is Lena Mitchell, and I grew up in a quiet neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. The kind of place where everyone waves from their porch and kids ride bikes until sunset. My parents, Robert and Diane, were high school sweethearts who ran a small accounting firm. They had everything: a two-story house with a white picket fence, matching coffee mugs, and a daughter they'd always dreamed of, my younger sister, Chloe. And then there was me. I found out I was adopted when I was 8. Not in a dramatic way, just a quiet conversation over pancakes. "You were chosen," Mom said, smiling. "We wanted you more than anything." I believed her. For years I did. But as Chloe got older, little things started to add up. She got new clothes every season. I wore hand-me-downs. She went to sleepaway camp. I stayed home to help with chores. When she broke her arm at 12, they canceled a business trip to be with her. When I got pneumonia at 14, Dad said, "You're tough. You'll bounce back." I told myself it was just personality. Chloe was bubbly. I was quiet. She was easy. I was complicated. Then came my 21st birthday. I'd just been accepted into a graduate program in Chicago, a full ride for my master's in architecture. It was everything I'd worked for. But there was a catch. I needed $12,000 for housing, books, and living expenses before my stipend kicked in. I flew home for the weekend to tell them the news. We were having dinner at their favorite Italian place. Soft lighting, candles, the whole thing. Chloe was there with her fiancé, Mark. Dad cracked jokes. Mom smiled. I took a breath and shared my news. Chloe clapped. "That's amazing, Lena!" But Mom just stirred her wine and said, "Chicago? That's so far and expensive." "I've got the tuition covered," I said. "I just need help with the first few months. $12,000. I'll pay you back as soon as I start my internship." Dad frowned. "We've already spent so much on Chloe's wedding. You know how weddings are." Chloe's wedding wasn't for another year, but they'd already booked a vineyard, hired a planner, and ordered custom invitations. I looked at Mom. "I'm your daughter too." She set her fork down. And then, without looking at me, she said it, quietly, like it was obvious. "Lena, you're just adopted. Pay for yourself." The words hung in the air like smoke. No one spoke. Chloe looked down. Mark shifted in his seat. Dad cleared his throat. I smiled. "Right, of course." I finished my pasta, excused myself, and left before dessert. That night, I booked a flight back to Portland. And as the plane took off, I made a promise. If I'm just adopted, then I'll stop pretending I owe them anything. And one day, they'll remember exactly what they said. But I didn't know then that those words would lead me to a secret buried in a dusty file cabinet. A secret that would change everything. For the next 2 years, I did exactly what Mom said. I paid for myself. I worked as a barista by day, drafted architectural plans by night, and lived in a studio apartment with paper-thin walls. I ate ramen. I skipped holidays. I stopped calling on birthdays. Chloe's wedding came and went. a $180,000 affair in Napa Valley. I wasn't invited. Not that I would have gone. Then, out of the blue, Dad called. "Lena, your mom's been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. She's been asking for you." I almost hung up, but something in his voice, real fear, made me pause. I flew home. The house looked the same, but Mom was different, frailer, confused. She called me Sarah twice, her sister's name, who died decades ago. But then late one night, she grabbed my hand and whispered, "The papers, in the attic, the truth about you." I waited until everyone was asleep. Then I went upstairs. Inside was a birth certificate and a letter from a woman named Elena Rodriguez. If you're reading this, Robert and Diane never told you the truth. You weren't just adopted, you were taken from me. I was 19, working 2 jobs, living in a shelter. They offered me $20,000 to sign away my rights. I refused, but they used their connections, falsified reports, said I was unstable. They stole you. I've looked for you every day since. My hands shook. I wasn't just adopted. I was stolen. And at the bottom of the envelope, a bank statement from 2003. A $20,000 withdrawal, labeled Private Adoption, Final Settlement. They didn't just adopt me. They bought me. I sat on the attic floor, tears streaming, not from sadness, but from a cold, sharp clarity. You told me to pay for myself, Mom? Fine. But now you're going to pay for what you did. But how do you make someone pay for a crime that happened 20 years ago, when no one even knows it happened? I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I tracked down my birth mother. She lived in San Diego, working as a school custodian. Never married. Never had another child. We met at a coffee shop. She cried when she saw me. Said I had my father's eyes. Her high school sweetheart, who died in a car crash before I was born. We spent a weekend together. She showed me baby photos, real ones. Told me lullabies in Spanish. For the first time, I felt whole. Then I returned to Portland and made a plan. I called Chloe. "Hey, I've been thinking. Maybe it's time I reconnect with Mom. I want to help with her care." She was thrilled. "Really? That's amazing. She's been so lost without you." I started visiting monthly, brought groceries, helped with bills, even offered to co-sign a loan to install a wheelchair ramp. They trusted me again. And that's when I made my move. I asked Dad for old financial records for estate planning. He handed me a box without hesitation. In it, proof. Not just the $20,000 cash payment, but emails between Diane and a shady adoption consultant. I scanned everything, sent copies to a lawyer. Then I waited, because the perfect justice isn't loud. It's quiet, patient, and legally airtight. But just as I was about to act, Mom had a stroke, and everything changed. She woke up in the hospital, weak but lucid. She saw me sitting by her bed, and her eyes filled with tears. "Lena, I'm sorry. I did a terrible thing." My heart pounded. "About what, Mom?" "About you. About your real mother. I was selfish. I wanted a baby so badly, and I thought if I just took you, no one would ever know." I didn't speak. I just held her hand. I told myself I gave you a better life, and maybe I did. But that doesn't make it right. For a moment, I almost forgave her. Then she added, "But Chloe, she can never know. It would destroy her." That's when I knew. She wasn't sorry for me. She was scared of losing Chloe. So I leaned in and said softly, "Don't worry, Mom. Chloe won't find out from me." I kissed her forehead, walked out of the room, and called my lawyer. It's time, because forgiveness is kind, but justice is necessary. A month later, it was Chloe's baby shower. $10,000 budget, custom cake, live harpist, the whole thing. I arrived early, dressed simply, smiling. During the gift opening, gasps filled the room. Chloe turned pale. "Lena, is this true?" I nodded, every word. Then I handed the USB to the event photographer, who also happened to be a journalist I'd hired. "This goes to the family first, but if they try to bury it, it goes public." Diane collapsed in her chair, sobbing. Robert stared at me like I was a stranger. But Chloe, she walked over and hugged me. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I needed them to feel what I felt. Alone. Betrayed. Worth less than a secret." But the real twist? It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about freedom. The fallout was messy. Robert and Diane offered to pay for therapy, for legal help for my birth mother, even to fund a scholarship in my name. I said no. Instead, I used my savings to help Elena, my birth mom, move to Portland. We live 10 minutes apart now. She helps me garden on Sundays, calls me Mija. Chloe, she cut ties with our parents for 6 months. Then she started visiting Elena too. Last Christmas, we all had dinner together, the three of us. No lies, no secrets, just truth and second chances. As for Robert and Diane, they still send cards. I don't open them, because I finally understand something. Family isn't who gave you a name. It's who shows up when you have nothing left to give. And that day at the baby shower, when I handed over that USB drive, I didn't do it to hurt them. I did it to free myself. So if someone ever tells you you're just adopted, smile and say, "Good. That means I get to choose who deserves me."